Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today, how the Minnesota Vikings win the Super Bowl. It's not April Fool's Day.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan from the Wide Left Substack. As you'll see in a second, Luke Braun is sporting the new Minnesota Twin City Connect jersey.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings. Really glad to get this preview. Very excited to show this off. Let's have a good day.
Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman, Caribbean jerk, Asian zing. That's about as spicy as anyone should ever go. Anything hotter than that, it's not even enjoyable.
We also preview Luke Braun eating insanely hot wings on today's Minnesota football party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota football party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hasan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota football party. And it starts now.
Welcome in, folks. Monday edition of the Minnesota Football Party is live on Locked On Sports Minnesota. If you're watching us live, please subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Get us to 8,000 followers. That would be great. You might also be watching us on demand. That works too. Or listening to us on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts, where Luke Braun produces dynamite content 5 days a week. And also the Sirius XM app, where you can hear the hometown broadcast of local sports as well. Lots of ways to watch and listen to Locked On Sports Minnesota. You met the panel, Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Arif Hasan. I'm Sam Ekstrom. We are live Mondays and Thursdays doing this show, and so much to get to today, including the Vikings' unlikely path to the Super Bowl, what it would entail, and it would probably entail a big year from Sam Darnold. What would he have to do to merit extension talks with the Vikings at the expense of the rookie J.J. McCarthy? I also have a guessing game based on PFF's position rankings, and which receiver will usurp J.J.'s money after his recent extension. We're going to answer all of that on today's show. That is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Public service announcement to begin the show. 2 o'clock Central Time, 1 o'clock Mountain, 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern, 11 Alaskan. Luke Braun will eat insanely hot, spicy chicken wings as punishment for his terrible, record-settingly bad,
Incredibly terrible
betting during the regular
good,
season.
very
The
bad,
punishment
terrible, horrible.
comes to fruition today.
You can see the sauces behind me with the labels thoughtfully turned away.
That will be live streamed at 12.
Not sure if that was going to be an
all
issue.
The times.
So.
Yeah, it's like a sponsorship thing, or
Yeah, I don't know. That's just a habit. If there's a label, keep it off camera. But
He's such a Hollywood guy. All right.
I'll be in my trailer. Okay.
Find the video live at noon Central. 2 Central. Luke Braun eats wings. And we have some ground rules for that. I mean, we don't need to get into the weeds right now. We have laid those out, and we will get into those before we eat the wings at 2 o'clock. But Luke Braun's going to be in some pain on camera. Come check it out. Come one, come all.
Attempting to answer trivia questions while in pain.
Yes. And in the meantime, for this episode, we're going to talk about the unlikely path for the Vikings to win the Super Bowl. There's not a lot of rookie quarterbacks that have led their team to the promised land. There's not a lot of bridge quarterbacks that have led their team to the promised land. But that's what the Vikings would try to do if they did it this year. Luke Inman, tell us what it would entail to get there, to get to that point, a Super Bowl championship in 2024. How would the stars need to align?
Boy, you need a lot to go right. Well, first of all, can we just pull up the odds here real quick? What are the odds actually on FanDuel.com to win the Super Bowl? The Minnesota Vikings are, okay, they opened at 40-1. They are currently 80-1. So there is only 5 teams.
How did that go down?
How did it go down by that much?
Pre-Cousins. Maybe there was a chance Cousins.
Everybody thought
these must
it
have
would've
opened
been okay.
right after the Super Bowl, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 teams with worst odds right now, and obviously, okay, not what you really want to hear, but if you're a betting man, okay, I'm getting good value there for sure. I think the one thing that, we all love about the NFL, there is so much parity from year to year. I'm thinking back to the Bengals season, the year before they went to the Super Bowl, they went 4-12. So obviously, you look at the 3 years prior, yes, kind of a Lions situation that had a lot of early draft picks. They built up for kind of that Super Bowl window that they're still in right now, but anything can happen. You never know. Obviously, when it comes to the Vikings specifically, I think back to the 2017 season when it looked like, okay, they were out and they were pretty much all their chips were gone. Case Keenum comes in, leads them to this kind of magical run type of season. Whether it's Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, one of those quarterbacks got to get hot. I think you compare it to 2017 specifically, what was kind of the crux with that season? An elite defense. So can Brian Flores maybe build this up to not just like a top 10 defense? It would probably have to be an elite. We're talking top 5, top 3 type of defense. The one thing, too, that I don't think a lot of people are really talking about, and I know when it comes to the Super Bowl and running backs, we all know what that conversation sounds like, right? You don't need an elite running back. I get that. But the first 2 years KOC was here, he really hasn't had a running game. Now, granted, Dalvin, okay, he had the splash runs, hopefully once a game, maybe that home run play, which was great. But the efficiency numbers have been really bad. And I think finally having a running game this year, hopefully, knock on wood, with Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, I think that could go a long way as well to helping out not just the offense, but these young quarterbacks, whether it's JJ or Sam Darnold for that matter. But you're right, Sam, a lot needs to go right. All the stars need to align. I think it starts with the defense taking not just a step forward, but a big step, and then having some sort of continuity at quarterback under center as well.
I like the looking to 2017 and seeing like what they were able to do with Keenum and a number 1 defense. More recently, I think the 2022 49ers would be another similar comp where they had a number 1 defense.
Yeah.
And they started out 4-4 that year. Remember, they were 4-4 with Lance and Garoppolo. Both got hurt, and they turned to Purdy and they ran the table. And I think the Vikings could easily start out slow with a very tough early schedule and then turn to McCarthy. And then McCarthy has to be Purdy, right? Like McCarthy would have to be that good. The 49ers might have won the Super Bowl that year if Purdy doesn't get hurt in the NFC Championship game. But again, that hinges on a number 1.
Eagles were kind of already smoking them, but I get it. Yeah, sure.
Hey, second half comeback. It was in the cards. But that defense hinged on an elite.
Me on 2017 in the second quarter. It's happening, guys. Trust.
Trust it.
Yeah, let's suspend reality for a moment. But that's the path, right? The defense has to be unbelievably good. Yeah. And as good as they were at times last year, it would have to be, a whole nother level where you have an elite edge. Your secondary is full of playmakers like that 49ers defense was. But Arif Hasan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something along the lines of I would never want or wish for a player to get injured, nor would I suggest that would improve the team. But having J.J. McCarthy start sooner rather than later seems to provide a wider range of opportunities for the offense, which would increase the likelihood that, they either, go like 3-14 or head over to the Super Bowl. So that's probably it. I think, top 5, top 1 defense would probably play a pretty big role in that. I also think it would be kind of unlikely, for the Vikings to do this unassisted by other teams,
right.
Other teams having
tough division.
Everyone quarterback gets hurt kind of year.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say probably more likely, sorry to interrupt, probably more likely in the NFC than the AFC. AFC, it's like even if Josh Allen and Lamar goes down, you still got 5 more elite quarterbacks, right? NFC feels like a little bit more wide open. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, and the NFC, like the quarterbacks that people are excited about are all kind of like volatile, right? Like you don't know how good Jordan Love is. You don't know. Probably
Kyler
Matthew Stafford
Murray,
doesn't have
Dak
another year.
Prescott,
Kyler Murray's been volatile. He's had good first halves of seasons, bad second halves of seasons. All kinds of like weirdness involved with the NFC quarterbacks that don't happen with the AFC quarterbacks. But yeah, I don't think that there's much to add to what Spinman already outlined, which was you probably need a high-level defense. Sam, you mentioned, having your rookie quarterback, begin to play. Which, like, rookie quarterbacks, I don't think they've ever won the Super Bowl, right? So
I don't even think they've
got
been
there. Big Ben got there, I
So
think.
Brady
No,
sat,
that was 2000. No,
Brady
that was
for a year.
05 he won, but not in 04. He made it to the AFC Championship as far as a rookie has made it.
and Brady was a second-year QB when he won.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It'd be a fun little first, a neat one to feather in your cap. But it seems kind of. I mean, it is a long shot. That's why we're talking about it like this.
Can you imagine? And he would deserve to be. How annoying Thor Nystrom would be if J.J. McCarthy became the first
gosh.
rookie. Went from college
100%.
championship to
He'd get his
NFL
flowers.
championship immediately. Yeah.
Oh
my God, he'd never shut up about it.
Close to the dude, and I would have to leave the city. That would be.
Yeah.
And
No.
again, you're right. He'd have every right in the world.
He'd have every
know,
right
that's
to be
the
as annoying
problem.
as he wants. Yeah.
That's the
I mean,
problem. Like,
Same
you
with
can't
Ron
say
Johnson, and we'd have to
Yeah.
have him on the show
It's
every
true.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you do if you're Thor and he goes and wins the Super Bowl? What do you even do from there? It's like,
Ascend to a
about the
higher
same
plane
order?
of consciousness.
Yeah, mention it every time you release a new draft ranking. Like,
Remember, I'm the guy that had it was
yeah.
J.J. McCarthy. Yeah, that was the first thing that popped in my head when I saw this on the agenda was like you'd have to become the first team that wins the that even makes it to a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback, or you'd have to get the Sam Darnold year of his life, like Foles insanity run kind of thing.
We've had a lot,
Insanity.
relatively speaking, a lot of second-year quarterbacks, right? You mentioned Brady,
Yeah.
of course. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts has showed up, didn't win, but showed
Yeah,
up.
Carson
Mahomes.
Wentz technically,
Yeah,
Mahomes, Goff.
but yeah, winning. Ooh, I hear that's tough.
might be tough. Sam, to your point, 2022 49ers, number one in the league in turnovers, net turnovers in the positive, obviously. So
Yeah, you'd have to get all those
turnover
like
luck,
unsustainable,
Let's go
third
back to
down.
2022. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean just
Yeah.
like 2017 Carson Wentz.
Well, the fumble luck's going to turn inevitably, right? There's one feather in our cap.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Has to.
Hey, he's already got the big poker stick out at OTAs. Maybe they'll fumble less this time.
Oh yeah,
He's so happy every time with that stick, man. He's just the
Wouldn't you
happiest
be?
you see KOC all day with that stick, man.
I love the.
Here's the
football
thing:
stick.
you probably have to make unless you think this would be the craziest Darnold run ever, and the defense is number one in the league, and they go 14-3, and they get the 1 seed, and that's how they do it. You probably have to do some road warrioring. That's the path does not go through US Bank Stadium here. You have to have a miracle run of stunning upsets against the real powers of the NFC in Philly.
Yeah, you just got to make it to the dance.
Detroit.
That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Chip in a
chip in a chair, baby.
Yep. 6 seeds have what was it? Eli and the Giants, Rodgers, I think, right? Was that
Rogers, yep.
7,
Correct.
8,
Flacco
6,
Ravens,
8?
right?
Packers are
Flacco
just a really
Ravens.
feisty 7 seed.
It happens more than people think, I think. But
Yeah. Usually with vets, though. That's the difference. With
Wiley experienced. Sam Darnold last year was the most playoff experience he got, and he didn't play in those games.
Yeah, Eli Manning was definitely a vet by the time he showed up. But would anyone have considered him wily? Is that?
Didn't they lose the last 3 games of that season before they went on that run too? Didn't they?
Oh yeah,
limp?
but they
Did they?
did. So if we're talking about 2007, they did almost beat that Patriots team. They were within 3 points
in
or
week
something,
17.
like
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
3-point
Right.
game. Yeah. Very true.
Eli, I feel like he was the perfect volatility that
Yes.
gets hot at the right time kind of thing, which maybe
Oh,
that's
for
the
sure.
path here, where
Like
it's
the
like
previous
be a
season,
boomer
he
bust.
led the league in
Yes.
interceptions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
be a boomer bust, kind of, only bombs sort of quarterback, and then you just get really only bombs.
Subscribe to his only bombs.
His only bombs. But enough about the Tennessee Titans.
It seems like most of us agree that the Super Bowl path would have to include a turn to McCarthy, who ended up being insanely good. But what if it was a Darnold path that got them there? And what would Darnold have to do to merit extension talks? Because Josh Dobbs was getting him after 2 weeks. What does Darnold have to do? What threshold does he have to meet? Let's break. And
Is
then
it the
let's get-
threshold he has to meet for like people on podcasts to decide to talk about it, or for the extension talks to like have merit? Because like we're already doing it then.
merit. They have to have merit, and we get into that after this on the Minnesota Football Party. It's brought to you today by FanDuel Sportsbook, and it's winner take all time. We've made it to the NBA Finals. We've made it to the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2, Celtics took a 2-0 lead last night. Your last chances to wager on NHL and NBA this season, FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. If you're a new customer, get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. So find a juicy money line, win it, and then you get $150 for free that you could spread out across the money lines, the player props, the future bets, the Vikings to win the Super Bowl, of course. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every playoff shot count. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, your home for a Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl future. All right, Sam Darnold as the bridge. It is kind of tough to fathom Darnold's future being in Minnesota beyond this season, because if he plays great, he's hitting the open market, is he not? Like, the only way you would secure him long term is if you came together in December and said, "Hey Sam, we want to keep you around long term." This JJ McCarthy guy doesn't have what it takes. We've seen him in practice. And that doesn't usually work out that way, where quarterbacks will, negotiate in season. But at least we can have the conversation. What would Darnold have to do? We'll start with Arif. What does he have to do to at least put himself in that conversation?
Play like he did in Carolina. Second in the NFL in CPOE. Minimum 150 snaps.
Gotta throw that part of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that, playing like he did in both Carolina and San Francisco, which admittedly combined to form a very small sample in very particular and specific circumstances, would be very helpful. Obviously, take care of the ball, push the ball down the field. He's always been kind of an aggressive quarterback, and it very much seems like KOC loves those guys. And so, finding ways to take advantage of what you have with like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and generating those big plays even in volatile situations. Now, obviously, we understand that coaches aren't just married to results, right? Like Tim Tebow never stuck anywhere despite having some pretty phenomenal results, but very poor process. Case Keenum, he didn't stick around in Minnesota after literally a miracle season, because they were very focused on process over results. So it can't just be, hey, it's volatile and things work out well. He has to be making good decisions and throwing the ball accurately. I would imagine that if he is even top 15 in a number of these metrics, which I'm not suggesting that coaches actually look at the metrics, but rather as a proxy, that, whether it is EPA per play, PFF grade, whatever, if he's consistently in the top 15 in a lot of these types of metrics, I would think that he gets an extension, and I would think that he signs it, because first, he's been moving around a bunch of different teams. That's got to be annoying. Second, I don't know that in that situation he wouldn't be given, quote unquote, given the starting job. And so he'd probably want to keep that, and he'd probably want to be in probably one of the best quarterback situations, at least offensively, from a coaching, supporting cast, whatever situation that just landed him that kind of contract. So I think that's probably it. I don't think it's asking for a lot of... I don't know that you would get an unexpected answer from the rest of us. Top 15 season makes sense to me.
A small kind of wild card part of this whole scenario and situation here too is what 3 quarterbacks do they keep here? Jaron Hall, Mullins.
Yeah.
I mean, going into next year, Mullins. Okay, this is Mullins last year. Okay, so either
Mullins
way, let's
would
assume he's
be a
gone, right?
Free agent.
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent, right? So going into next offseason, then all you got is not 1 but 2 just super young raw quarterbacks, most likely, pending how much JJ plays this year. But you got JJ McCarthy and Jaron Hall on your roster. That's it. So they're going to prioritize, like every team does in this league, having that one older veteran again who's got some experience and all that. And at
Wiley,
that point,
even.
to your point, Arif, like he's going to have an entire year under his belt in this KOC system. He's got the history of Josh McCown. He's already moved around and flip-flopped team to team to team. He probably wants some, stability finally. So, yeah, I don't know what the numbers would look like, but I would assume, and maybe it's more 50-50, but I'm leaning one side of the 50-50 that he does end up getting some sort of offer. Again, is it 10 mil? What do the numbers look like? I don't know. I think everybody's got to assume, okay, you got to take backup money now. What backup money looks like nowadays, I guess I don't know. But I would think that there's got to be a strong possibility that they do offer him a contract to come be kind of that veteran backup quarterback role for JJ next year.
I think if you have a top 15 season with Darnold, the other ingredient that wouldn't be very fun to talk about, but probably has to be present, is that JJ McCarthy isn't good to go like for the whole year. Because we've seen plenty good quarterbacks still give way to, Alex Smith in Kansas City still giving way to Patrick Mahomes, or I think Joe Flacco was having a perfectly fine season when Lamar Jackson took over, or did he get hurt or something? Like, you kind of have to have this. I feel like you have to have no pressure from JJ McCarthy. If JJ McCarthy is ready and they want to move on to him, and then Sam Darnold has a top 15 season, he might get a 2-year deal from someone, but it wouldn't be the Vikings. And then maybe you keep Mullen, or you keep somebody else experienced, some veteran in the building, some old guy that can kind of be pseudo QB coach, backup QB, the Sean Mannion role. And then probably somebody developmental in at QB3, which is why I think that camp thing is interesting. Because if I had to bet on who would win a straight up camp battle between Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall, I think it's of course Mullins, but
it's Mullins, right?
But you have a volatile QB in Sam Darnold. Nick Mullins represents a redundancy that they might, keep the young guy and say, hey, maybe we can still develop Jaren Hall. He did this well last year. He did these things poorly last year. Let's see if we can still have this kind of developmental guy in the back that could potentially turn into our backup quarterback. Or if Jaren Hall just has a really bad preseason, they cut him, and next year they're picking a QB in the 6th round or whatever.
I get your point, though. I get your point. Once they turn to JJ, it's JJ's show from there on out. And they don't want a lot of distractions and pressure and be like, well, if you're trying to win this game versus the Packers in Lambeau this week, it's a huge game. Sam Darnold has actually played better up to this point. I get what you're saying. They don't want the distractions. Once you go to JJ, it's JJ's show from there on out.
I will say that's generally true, but Desmond Ridder has demonstrated that, in fact, you can bench rookie quarterbacks. Technically, hey, we have a coach on staff that's benched a rookie quarterback. Brian Flores benched Tua. Anything is possible. I will add that I think probably the ideal scenario is that Darnold goes off, you extend him week 8, which, Sam, you mentioned that doesn't seem all that likely and doesn't happen all that often, but you extend him week 8, and then by week 18 that JJ's ready. You don't play him unless you've already secured a spot, kind of like with Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith, but you head into March knowing that you've got the next Geno Smith under contract. You could trade him for a 2nd-round pick. How exciting is that?
Get some of
that's next level.
Back. That's next level. Baby.
You need to split the difference to where you proffer that extension early enough that it doesn't become more, because I don't think it's palatable to give him multiple years. I think it would have to be one more year.
So he would sign that extension, presumably with some signing bonus in it, and then he would get traded for a 2nd-round pick to a team that would also give him a signing bonus. So we would have Sam Darnold getting 2 signing bonuses in 1 calendar year. He's
turning into the next Chase Daniels, basically.
Let's get it.
He's going to be loaded by the time this is all said and done, man. Yeah.
Businessman. It's pretty interesting, though, to think that through. And also, just a little tongue-in-cheek, if I'm Sam Darnold and I start 5-1, then I get an ear infection and I bench myself. Because think of how much money.
Hey, Hawkinson, how'd you do that ear infection?
I get mono again somehow.
How'd you do that?
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs, how much money did he lose by playing an extra 3 weeks? Right, he signed for $2.
He could have tried not sucking in those.
Yeah, right.
But
okay,
that's the thing. You have to believe that you're going to suck in the next games.
Right.
And I don't know if you're going to find that mindset.
when you become an NFL,
Did you just find a way for a player to tank? This is incredible.
Yeah. When you become a starting NFL quarterback, your belief in yourself is so irresistible that what you suggested, while it could be logical, is just not in the cards. It's not in the realm of you're 5-1 as a starting NFL quarterback. 100% you're believing in yourself.
I'm Dan Marino now, okay?
Right,
I'm coming to Dan Marino.
No, yeah, you're just like focused on figuring out
in week 10 to stop throwing insane bombs? No.
Who's that? JJ? Oh, it's Sherfield. Whatever.
Who was it that kept throwing bombs to Tajay Sharp? Was that Kirk?
Was that Kirk?
Early Kirk? He just kept throwing bombs to the wrong people.
Yeah.
Treadwell.
Yeah, Kirk got Tajay Sharp 1-on-1 on 4th and 1, audible to get Tajay Sharp to go deep, and threw it to him.
He threw to Alexander Hollins on a huge third down in the playoffs.
Hey, no bone slander. No bone slander.
That is.
He dropped the ball.
I've never seen
That was a tough catch. That was a tough catch. I believe that was contested down the field over his head.
Yeah.
Had his hands on it.
Never seen a one-on-one I don't like. Audible.
I want you guys to guess after this where the Vikings quarterback situation ranks in PFF's position rankings. We'll guess other things too. It's a guessing game coming up next on the Minnesota Football Party. Gametime presents today's show as well. The NBA Finals are sadly not at Target Center, but you can get tickets to the NBA Finals through Gametime. You can also get tickets for Twins games at Target Field, where the prices go down the closer you get to opening pitch or tip-off or whatever sport it might be. The WNBA is playing at Target Center, and the links are really good, and the WNBA is a really competitive product. So with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, why wouldn't you download Gametime? The Gametime app. With those panoramic views, you know exactly what you're paying. The flash deals are exclusive in-app deals for select seats ahead of the game. There's wonderful ways to save money with Gametime, which is industry leading with their protection plan, and they've got you covered with flexible customer service plans. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. LOCKEDON NFL. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back, Minnesota Football Party, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Big lineup this week as well. Ron Johnson Show Tuesday. Minnesota Basketball Party continues with its off-season coverage on Wednesday, and we return on Thursday. Don't forget, Luke Braun Eats Wings at 2 o'clock Central today, streaming live. Guessing Gametime, PFF has ranked players at each position, or most positions. They're not quite done with the series yet. If you've looked already, don't spoil. Where do they have the Vikings quarterback situation ranked on PFF?
So like the quarterback room?
Yeah.
Just the starter? Okay, I
so
haven't
it's
looked.
not
I have not looked.
it's not necessarily the room. It's more like it. So in the Vikings case,
It's like their prediction for how good the quarterback will be all year.
yeah,
Got it.
they're
Okay.
basically lumping JJ and Darnold into like a hybrid.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess 24.
I was
I
going
was
to say
going to guess
25.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all,
Wow, you guys
Like,
are
they're
pessimistic.
definitely not going to be high on
Pessimistic.
Darnold, and then they're going to be like, it's a rookie, and it's not the guy that was anointed by God to be the best thing ever that's for the last 2 years, because I'm sure the Bears are like 10th or something, because everybody's that
Sound
high on
resentful,
Caleb
but
Williams. So I'm gonna, somewhere in the mid-20s.
Yeah.
All right. The only quarterback situation they deem worse is Jared Stidham and Bo Nix.
What?
30
They're 31? What?
That's
Darnold
wild.
/ JJ, 31.
Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew
What?
ranked higher. Daniel Jones ranked higher. Will Levis ranked higher.
Is this
Jaden
your god?
Daniels-
Is this your king?
Wait, no. Hold on. Who is the author of
PFF?
this one? Because it's not like PFF. It's like a guy at PFF.
And that guy is Trevor Sikkema.
Sycamore.
Trev.
Oh, Sikkema hates J.J. McCarthy. Okay, that makes sense.
Trev. Oh, that's funny.
Right,
He
I'll
like
DM
doesn't think J.J.
Oh,
McCarthy's a
that's-
first-round quarterback.
That's funny.
No, I'll DM him. I'll get this right.
Reef, I might have to
Yeah.
jump back in the chat for that. Okay. All right. That was it. That's what got me back. Okay.
Vikings overall rank in roster strength.
Overall,
even
right, like
mean?
roster strength, roster talent, top heavy,
Roster talent.
with the depth, the whole thing. 53 guys.
Yep.
I'm gonna say
There's so many elements here that would
So
change
many
your
elements.
perception of the rankings, like how important positional value is, how
Right.
important
Well, it's
top end
PFF,
strength
so
versus
right.
depth
So
is.
is it by Sycamore as well?
Well,
Because if he's got quarterback at 31,
You
that just
say
helps.
you say it's PFF, so they're going to do position, but no, like Sigma doesn't do that much in terms of analytics, right? Like Sam
Yeah.
Monson is only
I'm still
kind of
thinking, like,
conversant. So
Yeah, as like a concept. But if it's just Sycamore, then
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess my only thing, and I'm just going to guess 17.
Defensive
My only thing,
stuff.
though, is how top heavy do they rank the quarterback situation in there, right?
Well,
because
Yeah.
if
And
not,
I don't-
because I
Probably
would say,
low.
JJ, the offensive core, good defensive player, I would say like
probably doesn't care much
15,
about Addison, Hawkinson. So I'm gonna go like 28th. I don't think they're gonna
yeah,
be very high at all.
wow.
the defense is like a big question to me, just in
QB's
terms of how people
31st.
would.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, if QB is 31st, I would say let's go a little bit higher just because of how good the receiver situation is. Let's go 22.
Did we all get a number in there? 28,
17.
22, 17.
17. Jeez.
Arif wins. It's 21st.
21st, okay.
This is also not a Sigma article, by the way. This is Wyman and Wasserman, a tandem article.
It was like a law firm.
Right? Biggest strength deemed offensive line. Biggest weakness deemed pass rush. X factor, Aaron Jones. 21st.
X Factor. Aaron.
Biggest
Wait,
strength
that's a-
being O line is wild.
Not the receiver room?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I like the tackles. No one dislikes the tackles.
Yeah, nobody ever dislikes the tackles. That's fine.
Yeah. A lot of
That's
Blake
crazy.
Brandel faith. Let's take it.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Edge rushers. Van Ginkel and or Grenard both could be on the list. So it's not. This
got
isn't.
a high PFF grade
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
14,
right. We got to
top
kind of
32.
think PFF grades here too.
Yeah.
okay?
Well, because there's a lot of teams that have like
Plus,
there's a lot of teams that have like a stud and a half. Like there's Myles Garrett, but there's 15 top 10 edge rushers out there, you know.
it's actually a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's tough to me just because of that. And also, like, I haven't paid attention to all of the movement around the league, so.
So we're
and
ranking
rusher-
the edge room
Just the edge
I'm
room,
gonna-
like
I'm
the
gonna
with
Texans
guess-
is
Dallas
higher.
Turner, Van Ginkel,
With Dallas
Turner,
Turner, yeah.
Bernard.
I'm,
No, so-
I'm gonna guess.
This is just
17.
clarification. This is not the room. These are just individual, the top 32 edges. So some teams have 2, some teams have 0.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Oh,
So are we
okay.
guessing like where Van Ginkel and or
Yeah, I'd
Grenard
say
would-
Grenard is probably 18-ish, maybe 16-ish. Yeah, I'll go 16, and Van Ginkel is 22.
Yeah, I'll go.
I was gonna put Grenard at
15
20.
and 20. 15 and 20.
and Van Ginkel 29.
It's really high for Van Ginkel. I don't know about that. Ugh.
So Luke Inman and Arif think that Van Ginkel's higher. Luke Braun thinks Grenard is higher. Everybody thinks
What?
that they're. Is that
No,
what I heard?
I had Grenard as like a 15, 16. Unless you
I
mean
apologize. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
All right. The correct answer is Van Ginkel at 24,
Oh, got
Grenard at 30.
Interesting.
Wow.
Van Ginkel gets
I
the
know
nod.
Grenard had like a grade in like the low 80s, high 70s or something like that, and
Yeah.
it was like in opposition to all of the other analytics
Yeah.
on Grenard.
So are these just
That's interesting.
kind of based solely off their PFF grades, just in general?
I'm sure it plays a
Or is
role,
this
but
just
I
like
mean,
a guy's
a
opinion?
lot of these. Yeah, a lot. I mean, a lot of these analysts work for PFF and have access to PFF data, but don't like use the PFF grades as kind of their ordinal
Right.
position on opinion.
So was that out of 64 players then, Sam? 2 starters for each 32 teams?
No, that was the
Or
top
just-
32 edges in
Got
the
it.
NFL.
Got it. Okay.
hey,
Yep.
Vikings have 2
Okay.
top 32 guys.
Yeah.
Look
Pretty
at
good.
us.
All right.
Here we
Look
go.
at us. Super Bowl.
3 more. Where's Aaron Jones rank amongst running backs?
20.
Higher than he should. 17.
I was going to say 17. 16.
This is Thomas Valentine, the author. and he has Aaron Jones ranked 8th. 8th.
So my instinct was right. I just didn't go far
In the
enough with
NFL?
Yes.
No, CFL.
This is like an NFC North thing?
Right.
He is ahead of Gibbs. He's ahead of Jacobs. He's ahead of Etienne, Kenneth Walker, Mostert,
He's ahead
Pollard.
of Jacobs, huh?
Pacheco. Yeah.
Is it had a Gibbs?
Ahead of Gibbs. Huh. Hey,
Jameer
well, they
Gibbs?
did have him.
Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs.
He's strapping him up.
So I guess they did. Maybe this is a different guy again, but they did have Aaron Jones as the Vikings X factor this year. So
Yeah, he's probably a different guy. But yeah. Okay.
probably a different guy, but
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
why not?
yeah, got to write something.
We'll
Yeah.
take the victory. This is written by John Costco, ranking the tight ends.
Costco's back. Oh, it's been a bit.
Nice.
Can we know how he is, like how he formats this with regard to a tight end that will
I feel
be
like we're in a
injured and
spelling
will
bee.
get,
We're like,
half
what's the
season?
origin?
Yeah.
Pronounce the word again.
Like
All I can tell you is that
Can you use TJ Hawkinson as sentence?
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson fumbled the
Ranks.
football.
Oh, great.
oh,
Thanks.
all right. So he just hates him anyways. 22.
No, that was misleading.
Okay.
The only thing I can say is that
I'm gonna go
the
fifth.
injury is not mentioned in the write-up.
I'm going to go 5th.
Oh, okay.
I'll go 7th.
10th.
You all hate the Vikings. Again, you've underestimated.
third?
He's fourth. Fourth.
Okay.
4th.
Well, I'll
So
take it at
what-
5th. Yeah.
Why are
that's
you
I mean,
so
I
negative?
don't think that's a bad take. I expected
Yeah.
them to just be like,
It's tough
he's
with
not going to,
injury and whatnot.
yeah, it was just
you
in my
just
head.
don't know how they're doing
Yeah,
it.
plus
But
with, like, Sam
so
Laporta
top
emerging
three,
and stuff
top
like
three
that.
ahead of
Yeah.
him. Kelsey, Laporta,
Oh,
Kelsey,
Andrews?
Kittle, Andrews.
Kittle.
Kelsey,
clicked
Kittle,
out.
Andrews.
Now I'm back. Kittle, Kelsey, Andrews. Yes.
Yeah.
Kittle,
Nailed it.
Kelsey.
That's pretty chalk then.
Laporta 5.
I clicked out again. Dang it.
Okay, never mind. All good.
Sam.
I'm just addicted to closing my tabs. 5th was Laporta. 6th was Goddard.
beat me.
7th was Pitts. 8th McBride.
Goddard was
9
6.
Njoku.
What?
10
Goddard.
Ingram. Any more questions?
Goddard
2023
was
Goddard?
6.
What
I zoned out
what
after
year
Goddard
was this
at
article
6.
published?
2021. Last
makes
one.
sense.
Last one. Tackles. Do the Vikings get 2 on the list or just Darisaw? And where do they rank?
I think they're both on the list. I'll say Darisaw is top 5. I'm going to say Darisaw's 5. And
I'm going to say
O'Neal
Darisaw's
is,
3.
and O'Neal is 22.
I was going to say O'Neal 22. I'll take O'Neal 21, Darisaw 3.
Put Darisaw at 6. And I'll say O'Neal is barely sneaks in at 31.
Oh, interesting. Luke
Yes.
Braun has noticed the O'Neal decline.
Spinman was pretty spot on. So our top 3 are Williams, Wirfs, and Sewell. Darisaw clocks in at 4. And O'Neal clocks in at 23.
Wait, so I was closer than Spinman. No, I wasn't. Never mind.
Spinman was one off for both of them.
Nice.
Yeah, I was one off for one of them.
Sorry, one more time. Who was ahead of Darisaw? Williams
Williams, Wirfs, and Sewell.
and Sewell. Okay.
That's fair.
PFF loves
right.
Trent Williams, and they're right to, but they
Yeah.
love
Yeah, they
Trent
love
Williams.
Trent Williams. Yeah. Hopefully, once Trent Williams retires, they just put all that love on Darisaw.
He's asking for a
He's
new
the new
deal.
Trent
He'll never die.
Yeah, no, I know. Keeps going.
Big Mike asks, why is Luke Braun eating wings today? Because his sports picks were terrible in the regular season,
Sports picks.
and this is his punishment. His wagers, his mythical wagers.
Lost too many
Do
mythical
we have those
dollars.
numbers? Can we pull those numbers back up?
I will have those prepared. I will have those
I don't
prepared.
even remember like
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I think I was
Remember?
third,
I think I was
wasn't
behind like $10,000 or something by the end.
Well,
I don't think he got
honestly,
one right.
The
in-
last like
No.
no, you're right.
I got one right week 2, and then I went over for the rest of the season. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
I feel
Yeah.
like you were trying to dig yourself out of a hole, though. At a certain point, you were like, "Okay, I
Yeah,
gotta have these."
that's
crazy
part of it.
bets.
Yeah, there was
That
there was a lot of go big or go home.
So it looks
But, like,
worse than it was.
It wasn't a bunch of 1-and-1s either.
yeah.
No.
Like, I think of if I did it like separately, I think I still only would have gotten like 7 or 8 of those right out of like 30 bets. Like, it was.
I think I only went big
I don't
early
think
in
any
the
of us
season,
were good,
if
right?
I remember correctly.
We were astonishingly bad.
Yeah, we were not
very,
good,
very
right?
bad.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Before we
I blame
go,
the hip drop tackle. I would have got that Mark Andrews touchdown prop.
Never forget.
there were some bad beats early, and then he just started getting blown out.
So,
Yeah, then I had to,
wing
like, get weird
challenge
ones.
this year, a roast, Tom Brady style roast next year.
A roast
decide that?
next year. Yeah, we'll bring in top colleagues and comedians from
Ron
the area.
Johnson.
Absolutely.
And Ron Johnson.
That is amazing. That is a must. I was thinking about this today. Still thinking about the Justin Jefferson extension. Who is going to be the first one to top it? Deserving or
Tyreek.
undeserving?
Wide receiver or any player?
Wide receiver.
Probably Chase,
Yeah,
unless
Chase
there's somebody
next
before
year.
that.
That
Chase
would
next
be
year.
next year.
Yeah, I was going to say Parsons though, right? I don't know if he's due for one this year or if they're going to extend him this year.
It
But
would
Parsons
be next
could-
year.
Okay, Parsons and Chase are the two that come to mind.
It
CeeDee
changed, but
Lamb
I think
will be right
Tyreek
under.
is going to get a new deal because the next 2 years of his deal are imaginary. So
Yeah.
he's going to have to get a new deal.
It's gonna
Plus,
be
with all
crazy.
the discourse about how he's not actually making as much cash as his contract. I'm sure he's upset.
He's freaking out. It's gonna be crazy watching the Cowboys pay CD and Parsons, and then what? Let Dak go, or
I mean,
don't know what they
allegedly they're
do.
paying CD. I mean,
Allegedly, you're right. Allegedly.
Who's
We'll see.
to say?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think CD could do it with a fairly, like, if he goes for 13 to 1500, that could be in the cards. I think Jamar, if they're really stacking up with Jefferson, Jamar would have to get 2,000 yards to like get his 4-year total. But even if he's close to that kind of momentum, think about this: Jefferson did it after his worst year, right?
Yeah.
So if any of these guys goes into a contract negotiation off of like a 1,700-yard season, it's going to be, especially in an escalating cap, it's going to be tough to say no.
Yeah. And Chase's
I mean, that's
numbers
what
were
CD
down.
just did.
Yeah, CD just did that. Chase's numbers were down last year, but he had no Joe Burrow for pretty much the whole year too. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do pay Chase. I mean, I guess there was a lot of conversation about, okay, the Chiefs let Tyreek Hill go, and then they decided to pay Mahomes. Who was the other obvious one? They let their big wide receiver go and paid their quarterback. Oh, well, Chargers, okay, they let all their weapons go. They paid Herbert, but it's just going to be interesting to see what the Bengals do, because they've already paid Burrow all that money. They're probably going to pay Chase all that money. They can't pay T. Higgins all that money. There's just absolutely no way. But I know that's been a hot topic, talking point, I feel like, when it comes to paying all these receivers all this money and the quarterback as well. It's just stuff to do.
Bill Barnwell wrote a very extensive piece about
Yeah,
what the Jefferson contract means. I would recommend reading that.
it's good.
If Lamb and Chase come up just short, do you think Puka would have a chance in 2 years if he duplicates what he just did?
If he
In
if he
2
runs it back,
if he
does it
duplicates
twice,
what he,
If he duplicates twice, 1,400 yards, 4,200 for 3 years.
in a bigger cap environment, what do you mean a chance? It's a certainty.
yeah, he would.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, those
no
numbers
question.
were crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, because Cooper Kupp, I think, when he signed, broke the record for receivers, right? Because it was before Hill.
that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah.
Or at least in the, no,
did he-
but
was it- I don't
by
know if
yearly average, I think he did, right? For sure, right? Yearly
I
average.
think the yearly average was still Hill. Wasn't it still 30? 30 million was the mark to beat.
I thought he signed before Hill, maybe. I'm wrong.
You could be right. You could be right.
If not,
There is.
I still think, I mean, in a cap environment 2 years down the road, if Puka repeats, I mean, that was the condition you gave, 100%, he's getting more than 35 a year. There's no question.
Oh yeah, but 2 years down the road, 35 a year won't even. That'll be like wide receiver 2 money.
Yeah.
Um, There's an interesting wrinkle with Jamar Chase in the negotiation. I don't really know who this would favor, but he'll probably be like really alone in negotiating if he's next year, because the other like major receivers of that draft are Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, and they already signed contracts that are like on a smaller tier, and there's not really anybody from the next year's draft class that would be up for extension without it, like from the second round or whatever, without be like Christian Watson? Like, is
That's
there?
what- Luke, I was told you could always find an elite receiver in the draft, and that's why you shouldn't pay them. Are you sure? Have you checked?
Yeah, well, you can find bad ones too. Like, the only upset I could see would be like if Christian Watson puts up a 1,400-yard season and he becomes the sensation. Everybody's talking about him as a top 5 wide receiver.
One year of production though, because he hasn't had anything besides that year.
Yeah.
Well, his
This is
one
hypothetically
hamstring's bigger than the other, though. That's why.
Yeah, one hamstring is bigger than the other. Yeah, he stays healthy. He becomes a sensation. Are you telling me that the world won't overrate a Packer that has one good year?
So you think that there's a chance
a Packer
like
of a particular
someone,
complexion. That's a good point.
Fair.
not to say Watson is a scrub, but like there is a chance that somebody who's
Packers
not,
might be saying that with their depth chart.
and Daniel Jones comes to mind, like where he gets the absurd quarterback contract. There could be a wide receiver that does the same. But I think the gap is so wide. Like Jefferson opened it up to such an extent that I feel like teams are not going to be eager or willing to necessarily top it unless someone is clearly
$7
deserving.
million a year in real dollars is an insane leap.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
The cap, though, does this cap really keep going up as much as it has been trending,
Yes.
too? I mean, that cap is on, the trajectory to keep going up a lot. I think about Addison now. Addison, obviously, Darisaw on the team is going to be the next one, but Addison, when we're talking wide receivers, Barnwell in this is a pretty good article talked about wide receiver 2 money. Christian Kirk just signed that 4-year, $72 million deal. Addison won't be long. And granted, we know Kwesi likes to play out most of the time, the 5 years of these, first round players. But it won't be long until they got to pay Addison as well on top of JJ, and McCarthy will be around the corner then too.
Yep. Not wrong about that. We've got Luke Braun eating wings today at 2 p.m. Central Time. That will be a live stream bonus episode of the Minnesota Football Party. So please join us then. We'll tweet out the link. We'll make sure that you can access that. Luke Braun, are you excited?
I am. I'm ready for the challenge, I think. Like I've had like months to like stew on this and think about it. And it's gone from like dread of just how bad I'm going to feel afterwards because I have a pretty busy day today. So I'm not going to be able to just like lay
Big
down.
meeting,
And
big
yeah.
meeting after big meeting, Zoom call. Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I've been inspired by some people around me that have really taken to challenge themselves in their own ways. So I'm ready to challenge myself to do something that I've never done before. There's something exciting about that, even though I know it's going to suck.
You're an inspirational figure to all of us. And yeah, ground
Not
rules,
all of
lay them
us.
out. We got to go. But he will be answering trivia questions in order to eat the wing. And if he misses 3 guesses, then he will have to eat a punishment wing in addition with the same sauce.
Yeah.
So anywhere from 5 to 10 wings, extremely hot sauce, and maybe some shenanigans we make him do in between wings as well. But that's all coming up today at 2 Central Time. Don't miss it. It's the Minnesota Football Party. We're back live as well on Thursday morning at 11 Central. Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Arif Hasan. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Talk to you later today.